On the show this week, the biggest technology story, the iPhone threat notifications that everyone's been talking about. We get to the bottom of them. Also, what's up with the billionaire space race? That's a special segment on the show. And since we're talking about iPhones so much, let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max with all its bells and whistles and compare it to the newly launched GoPro Hero 12, which gives you the best action video output out there. This is going to be an action-packed show on that note. I'm your host Aayush Ailawadi and this is Tech Today. Now, a lot of things that are shot on the show are often shot using a smartphone. I use the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I also use the Pixel and the Samsungs. But the iPhone 15 Pro Max in its action mode does a very good job. But that's not what it's primarily meant to do. That's just one more added feature with this device. The GoPro Hero 12 is the latest and greatest from the GoPro stables. Now has a lot more competition, of course, from DJI, Insta, but also from an iPhone. So we just thought this is a device that's always in your pocket. So this being option number one, and the GoPro Hero 12, which a lot of adventure junkies use all the time. So we thought, let's compare the two. If you want to be a travel blogger, maybe an adventure junkie, or just vlogging your way through the trials and tribulations of your city lives. Well, we thought, let's compare the two. But honestly, I'm not in the right wardrobe for that particular segment. So why don't we do a quick wardrobe change and head straight to that review. Techtember, Techtober, and now Diwali. That means you might be in the market for a new device. Is it a new camera? Is it a new smartphone? Is it a smartphone which can replace your camera needs? That's why first I have the latest and greatest from GoPro, the GoPro Hero 12. And if you want to use this as an action camera or a travel camera, then you need to compare it with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. With some amazing computational photography, this one can do absolute wonders when it comes to photography and videography. But which one comes out on top? We're going to do this in purely Tech Today style on this special episode of Tech Today. Well, let's give this a try. I'm running on a wide angle here with the iPhone, monitoring stuff on my watch, and here on the GoPro. Let's see what the output is like on these devices. It's interesting to see how the iPhone 15 Pro Max, even without action mode, does a fairly decent job, especially when you come in the sunlight. The GoPro on standard mode, I can see a fairly decent reference frame over here. On the iPhone, this is one disadvantage, but if you're shooting on selfie mode and you're okay with that compromise in quality, then that is one thing you can do. And the second thing you can do is use your Apple Watch, but you need to be in that ecosystem there. So here it's pretty much leaving it up to God and hoping that the frame is good enough. Let's see what the output is like. Well, here's a test I've been waiting to perform. The iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the GoPro Hero 12 in a low light scenario, a moving car. Which one performs better? We do so many car and EV shoots here on Tech Today. Might be a bit wobbly over there, but this is the 15 Pro Max. This is the audio on the 15 Pro Max. This is the audio on the GoPro Hero 12. Let's see which one performs better. You can see that with the bumps here on Mumbai roads, I'm guessing the iPhone without action mode, because there's not enough light for action mode, won't be giving you the best video, whereas the GoPro seems like a steady bet. I don't know if this is a post-pandemic phenomenon, but most of us have a little bit of travel and adventure blogger inside of us, and a lot of that has come through over the past 2 or 3 years. That's why a lot of people purchase the GoPro Hero 10, Hero 11, and now the Hero 12, and they also want a really good smartphone. Now I am using the iPhone 15 Pro Max on 1x, that's a standard lens, what you use normally, with action mode on. And out here, I am using the GoPro Hero 12 on wide mode. I'll show you how wide this can get, I'll show you how wide this can actually get, and then show you what the video is like. This is the audio on the GoPro. This is the audio on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'm going to walk through right over here and you can see what I am seeing. This is essentially it. The reference screen over here isn't necessarily, well, on my side. And if you look at the 15 Pro Max, I'm pretty certain with the wide angle, it's fine. Should we go for a little bit of a jog and then I'll show you super steady, which is what the GoPro is all about. Okay, I'm going to increase the speed. Okay, running really fast on both devices. I don't know what the shake is like, but as you can see, I'm running fast. The 15 Pro Max, has it managed to stabilize as much as the GoPro? Well, I'd imagine that the 15 Pro Max has done a fairly decent job, but the GoPro feels so much more compact to hold And when this screen comes on the outside, I can understand why people want to use this as an adventure camera and don't want to burn 1,50,000 rupees and lose their most prized possession, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, on an adventure shoot. That's 1 point to the GoPro. So, not the most intuitive interface. They've made it better, but it still has a long way to go before it catches up with smartphones. That said, the stabilization though, I think you can get addicted to this kind of a shot. But it's good to see that with that computational photography algorithm, with all the stuff happening on the A17 Pro, the iPhone isn't too far behind. Whether you put it on the normal 0.5x, but I want to show you how wide both of them can get. So let's burn some more calories. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This camera seems to be getting inspired from these action camera guys. Calm down there. That is the DSLR. These are the action cameras. There's an option, of course, on this GoPro to shoot in 4K, in 1080p, and all the way up to 5.3K. I don't know how useful that is. The iPhone can only go up to 4K. But honestly, where do you use more than 4K in today's day and age? Creators are happy with 1080p, especially with the Instagram algorithm. Now, if you're using digital lens or linear, you have an option of wide, which is 16 to 34 mm. Then you have super view, which is a tall field of view. You get great point of view shots. So I've tried to toggle through this interface and go all the way up to hyper view. This is as wide as it will ever get, and there's no real crop. But the minute you put in 0.5x here on the iPhone, which is the wide angle, it looks all right? But I want to put in action mode. The minute you put in action mode, there's a bit of a crop. So now let's see, with all the limitations and all the technology at play, what the output is like on these two. All right, this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max at its widest with action mode stabilization on. That means you can monkey around as much as you want with the absolute top dog, the GoPro Hero 12 in its widest form, and of course, with the stabilization that it offers. Now I'm going to do a quick Usain Bolt lap. I hope my camera guy catches up. Come on! All right. We're running pretty fast. My hands aren't very stable, but you can see what the stabilization is like on both devices. Interesting results. I was just analyzing the footage on both devices. Let me be very honest with you. The GoPro Hero 12 is a big improvement from previous GoPros. Maybe not that much from the GoPro Hero 10 and 11 because hardware-wise it looks the same. A lot of people are saying it's just a software upgrade. No, there's a lot more happening over here as well. The fact that you can do so much more with your GoPro. The video quality is fantastic, but it is still a GoPro in terms of output. It's meant for a different purpose. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is something special in terms of output. The action mode has gotten better. The 5x telephoto lens on this makes things amazing, especially when you're vlogging. You get some great output there as well. If you put in 0.5x to go wide versus the GoPro's wide or super wide or hyper view, whatever they call it, this one looks a little pixelated. Also, if you want action mode on and you want to really compete with the GoPro, it's not an apples to apples comparison because then it crops the frame even further. That said, the audio quality on this, even without using a mic, is absolutely stellar. The iPhone's vlogging mic over here and even the selfie mic do a brilliant job at capturing most of the sound. The GoPro has a few tricks up its sleeve as well. You can now connect this even to, surprisingly and, well, ironically, your AirPods. So that means you can give it voice commands, that's a new thing. And you can also, well, use the audio, especially if you mounted this on your bike or you're doing something crazy with it. We've done a bunch of crazy things with the iPhone over the years, but that's because that's what we do for a living. If this is going to be your primary device, then you're going to be worried about putting such an expensive device on the edge of your car, or when you're skiing down a mountain, or in the middle of the Maldivian Ocean. You might do it if you're daring, but you could be conservative, and understandably so. With the GoPro, it's a different story. Even our camera team and producers go a little wild. They're much braver with this device, though it's not that cheap. It starts off at 45,000 rupees. With the creator kit, it can go upwards of 60,000 rupees. And then you say, oh, this is such an expensive device here in India. This is nearly 1,40,000, 1,50,000 rupees. But even the iPhone 15, the base model of the iPhone, costs something like 80,000 rupees. And this, with its full kit, is nearly inching towards that territory. The difference between the two is that the iPhone 15 Pro Max, with its computational algorithms, really using AI and everything that happens on that A17 Pro chip, can give you magical output. Audio, video, photo, portrait mode, action mode, cinematic mode, HDR, Dolby HDR as well, ProRes. This is an absolute masterpiece. In fact, the Apple event which just concluded right now, we keep talking about production quality, but it was a statement in itself that they shot that on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, that tells you what this phone is capable of. So we know all the advantages of an iPhone. You can edit on this, upload on social media, put it up on the cloud, share it with your friends. This is that one device. If you're on the iOS ecosystem, move it to your iPad, move it to your MacBook, do all sorts of things with this one device. And the video output is great. But then the price is one restriction, and then the fact that connected to that, you don't want to really damage something so precious. That's the other restriction. With the GoPro though, it's interesting to see how it has grown in leaps and bounds over the years. And in terms of durability, build quality, this is a very tough nut. This is the ultimate adventure junkie device for the rugged outdoors. Strap it on your car, on your helmet, down a ski slope, into the ocean. You can do it all on this device. You can also do a lot of that on this device, but this is a different use case. This is your computer in your pocket, all your secure data, and an absolute monster when it comes to performance. Well, a couple of things have changed on the GoPro Hero 12 if you're talking about improvements, and the biggest problem and the biggest grouse with GoPros used to be battery life and overheating. It's not just here in India or tropical climates. I was shooting in Paris and Champagne. You must have seen some of those shoots with all those cars and gadgets and stuff like that. And the GoPro that we had mounted on the dashboard, which was supposed to be our dash cam, was heating up because of the direct sun falling on it. And then we had some issues with our GoPro. It's a lot better in terms of heat management on this particular device, and the battery lasts longer as well. I've charged it once, we've been shooting all day, and I'm only at 40%. That's not bad for a GoPro. In terms of expandable memory, yes, you could always put a new SD card in your GoPro and you'd be good to go. And you can also put stuff on the cloud. So there's improvements on the GoPro side, but major improvements with the 15 Pro and Pro Max in terms of iPhones. Because of the USB-C, thank you EU yet again, you can now expand this with an SSD. That means you can roam around with an expandable memory, take all those 4K Dolby videos and put them onto the SSD, never using the storage here at all. So big improvements on both ends. But what do you think about the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the GoPro Hero 12?